What's up YouTube? Jim here, and today we're going to be working on my buddy John's car right over here. It's a Trans Am just like mine. He's having all kinds of problems with oil spilling all over the place. He broke the clutch fork, I guess, and he's got some aftermarket parts that he wants to throw on it. So today we're going to start by pulling the transmission. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so we're going to start inside the car by removing the shifter from the trans, so when we have the car up in the air it's a lot easier to pull it out than have to screw around with it later on. So let's get down with that. I'm going to stick you guys right up here on the windshield. And there we go. Start by removing the shift knob. I think he's trying to do a center console replacement on this thing, so there's no bolts in it or anything right now. So I think we can just pull it right up. Let's get rid of this first. This car is a 96 Trans Am. It's obviously got the LT1 engine and a T56 Trans. So I guess the kid whose car it is, he did a rear main seal on it and it doesn't seem to be holding up. And then when he put the transmission back in, I guess he said he messed up the clutch fork a little bit. So we're going to drop it down and take a look, see what's going on. I've dropped a few of these F-body T56s in my day, so I got this down to a science now. You just gotta choose. Most of the bolts are missing on that, on the bottom boot too. We'll get that going. These little bolts down here are 7mm. Dropping these T56s out of an LT1 is pretty much run-of-the-mill for dropping any transmission, except the tricky part on these is the clutch fork. It has to be pulled out before you can separate the trans from the engine, and we'll get to that later on. One, put them in there. This one's not even tight, so just pull it right up. Not much hardware in this car, makes it easier to put it back together. So, alright, let's pull this off the rest of the way. Come on, you bastard. There we go. This plastic can actually stretch quite a bit without breaking it, believe it or not. So that's it. Shift boot is loose. Oh, wait, one more. If you're watching this, John, I'd get some more bolts in this thing to try to keep the exhaust out of here. Kind of keep the seal on the trans tunnel a little better. This thing's lifted up in the corner and stuff. I don't know if you were getting exhaust in here or not. Hope not. Alright. So he's got one of these little badass B&M aftermarket shifters, so we'll just pop that off and we'll be in business. My douchebag neighbor saw me making a video, so she started up her lawnmower. And maybe I should edit that part out. Maybe I won't, who knows. Coincidentally, it's the same neighbor that called the cops on me for doing a burnout in my own driveway. But that's none of my business, right? Alright, usually it just pries right up. There it is. You see that, folks? Easy as that. Alright, so that's it inside the car. Now we gotta jack this pig up. Alright guys, well, car is jacked up in the air, nice and high. High enough anyways. Make sure it's nice and safe. Give it a wiggle before you know, want to get under here and feel safe. But anyways, we're gonna start with the torque arm. Take the torque arm off, and then we'll get to the drive shaft, and we'll go from there. So here we go. I think it's a 21 millimeter. It is. Well, we're gonna have to get a wrench up there. There's one. And two. In order to get these torque arm bolts out, you have to jack the car up and hold it from the body so that the rear end comes down. If you don't let the rear end come down, you'll never have enough clearance room to get these bolts out. I thought we'd be able to just slide it out of the clamshell, but we're going to have to go up there and loosen the bolt. Alright, the torque arm's out. Next we'll move on to the drive shaft. right there. I11. So you're gonna need that, and you're gonna need something to hold this bitch steady. Hold it straight while you're taking it out. This should work. There's one. It had some torque on it there. Sheesh. They don't have to be tightened that much. You don't have to mash these caps down. They just need to be nice and snug. They don't have to be mashed down. Alright, now I'll be right back. I got a little something special. Alright, so we're just about to pull this drive shaft off, and to prevent any trans fluid from leaking out of the back of the trans, I got this old yoke that I had. I twisted it at the track last year. I don't know if you can see in there, but it still should be good enough to go on and stop anything from leaking out of there. So, let's take this drive shaft off. Alright, might have to pry it out of here. And then just slide it right back. And then we'll just roll that right over here. So then this trans yoke, we're just going to stick this right in the back of the trans so that when we drop her down, it doesn't leak. And that's it. Mint. That'll also help when we go and install this thing back in to line it up inside the crank. Alright. Looks like we're done back here. The torque arm is off, drive shaft is off. Now basically all we got to do is disconnect the wiring harnesses up there. I think there's 3 or 4. We got to take the starter down, take the slave down, and this bitch is ready to come down. That's it. Alright guys, so here's the different wiring connections you got to take off. This one right here on the passenger side of the trans, I think that's for the reverse lights. And then right over here is the skip shift. If you didn't already eliminate skip shift with one of these things, then you got to disconnect that. Then the reverse lockout, and it must be the speed sensor. Those are right there, all disconnected. Next we're going to take the slave cylinder out. Which isn't even tight. Well, that's not supposed to be that easy. Oh boy, that's not supposed to happen either. Alright. Just keep this guy over here. Stick it up here for now. Stick that up there too. So. Oh yeah, something's wrong with the fork. Alright guys, so here's the big trick that the newbies have with pulling these transmissions out. I mean, obviously I don't have the bolts around it yet, so I can't pull it out. But in order to pull this off here, you need to take this clutch fork and pull it out and down. See how it's out now? That's where it's in and engaged on the throwout bearing. This is when it's pulled off, and it'll allow you to slide this trans out. So I'm going to start loosening up these bolts. But I think I should get my trans jack first and support this bad boy right here. Or at least my other jack. Well, you know what? We're going to start by taking these out. I think they're 15mm. Let me see. Yeah, they're 15. Stick that up there. Let me get some air tool action up in here. This should be a lot easier. These air tools aren't the best, but they work. I don't know if there's enough light on that camera. I hope there is, so you guys can see this. Blew the camera over. All right. This thing keeps switching directions. That's 4 so far. I think there's 8 altogether. I think we're gonna lower the trans for the last few. Alright guys, one more thing before we start dropping this trans out of the way. I forgot to move the starter. So let's get that thing out of the way. Alright, it's a 14 mil. I don't know if you guys can see that, I hope so. Air tools for the win. If you don't have air tools, get yourself air tools. You know what? I think we're just going to prop this out of the way for now. Maybe not. Maybe we'll disconnect it. Well guys, I think I'm going to leave it right there for a minute. Just let it chill there until later on. It's fine. Okay. So now what we're going to do... Is this thing on? Alright. So now what we're going to do is just rest the trans jack right on this mount right here, undo the bolts, and just lower it down a little bit so I can get to the back bolts on the trans. So let's do that. So we got the trans jack positioned under here. I'm just trying to chalk the thing so it doesn't rock back and forth. Once we get it down. There we go. Send this bitch over the top. Just be careful not to get the wiring harness in it. Oh, come on. You know what? I'm gonna bring it down a little bit, then sling it over. Where's my tools? What the fuck? Alright, so the bolts are completely out of the cross member now. So now all we got to do is just gently lower the jack. We just got to gently lower the jack, and it should bring the trans down with it. And then we'll be able to reach those bolts up front. Whoop, see that? That should be good. Alright, so now we're ready to take off the rest of these transmission bolts. I'm sure you've heard about the tricky one where you need like 18 feet of extensions or whatnot. That's the one I want to show you right now. It's way up here, so get as many extensions as you have. And then we'll need a 15 millimeter. Where the hell did it go? Oh, it's in the air gun. Alright. I don't know if you guys can see up there. I have no idea. Probably not. But there's a bolt way up there that you can only get with a bunch of extensions and sagging the trans down. So, that's what I'm going to do right now. Sorry guys. It might take you a little while to line it up. And there we go. We're on it. Oh my God. I don't know why it's being a bitch. All done. Here it comes, guys. I've heard of people struggling for days trying to get this bolt out. All you need is a fuckload of extensions. And there it is, guys. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts out. I think there's 8 altogether. Let's go to the other side and take a look. Alright, we're almost ready to pull this trans off. I've only been working on this thing for like an hour. I've pulled quite a few of these things. Grab my tools. You know, YouTube, before I started recording myself, I used to talk to myself making these videos. I mean, I'm still talking to myself, but at least there's a couple people to listen on the other end. I mean, after all, I do have 37 subscribers, so I'm fucking getting in the big leagues. Alright, there's one right there. What the fuck is this? The vent tube. What's that one? And there's one missing. Alright, so I think there's only one left. It looks like one's missing. Feels like one's missing. So, I think I want to just go straight in to this one. I think. Oh! Sorry, dudes. You know what? I'll put you right here. Can you guys see past my stupid arm? I hope so. I'll move you over a little bit just in case. How's that? What's up, dude? What's up, dude? By my car? Tell him no. She went tanning. Yeah, she's allowed to do whatever she wants. I mean, she is an adult. Alright, let's jack this trans up a little bit. Relieve some of the pressure on this thing. Oh, Jesus. There we go. You just don't want it sagging down too much. Might not be a good thing. See how it's already separating? Alright guys, that should be it. Just make sure you got all your wiring connections undone. And there's nothing holding you up, and you should be able to just pull this thing right back. Let's see. take this off to clear. We might lose a little fluid here. Well, alright guys, that's it. The trans is out. So that's going to be part one of a series of videos with this car. Like I said, he's having quite a few issues with oil leaks. He's having issues with his clutch fork. He's having issues with tuning because he's got this thing hyped to shit but with no tune on it. So yeah, stay tuned. And you know what, if you guys are watching my videos, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like. I'm trying to upload videos every week now. I'm always fixing shit and building shit, and that's the premise of my page is going now. So yeah, hit like and subscribe. Thanks guys.